Yeah.
If you are what you say you are, a
If you know, you know.
superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. Yeah. A fresh, cool young Lou trying to cash his microphone check 212. Wanna believe my own hype, but it's too untrue. The world brought me to my knees. What if you brought?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemons. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I know it's been a long time since I came to you from this, but there's just so many things going on in the world of the intersection of sports and culture that I just felt like it was time for me to come back and give you, my 2 cents for whatever it's worth. Make sure that you check out everything that I'm doing over on the New York Giants on SI with the Giant Issue podcast. Check that out. There'll be a new episode of that out tonight at 8 o'clock. So definitely make sure that you check that out. Check out all of the things that I'm doing over at Fantasy Life. That's Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. Tons and tons of content that you can find over there from me. And then there's just more to come. There's more to come as we continue to work. The one thing that you know about myself and anybody that I'm really associated with in this game that I consider to be friends, that I consider to be colleagues, guys who really do this, ladies who do this, is that there's constant work to be done. And just because there's no NFL doesn't mean that there's no football. So shout out to the UFL and shout out to the European League of Football that's cracking off right now. I want to start right there, but I can't because there's other stuff that seems to take most precedent. I want to start by saying that I have always been a big fan of Robert Griffin. I've always been somebody that believed that Robert Griffin was one of the most talented quarterbacks to come out in quite some time, that he had the opportunity to be what we saw Lamar Jackson become when Lamar Jackson hit the league. I believe that Robert Griffin should have received a Geno Smith-like second act in his career. He never did. I think that Robert Griffin could still be playing football right now. Don't know why he's not. I'm assuming that's a decision that he made. When Robert Griffin decided to transition into the media, I thought it was great. Hey, well-spoken, good-looking dude, has a certain level of look at me type of vibe that I think goes over well. But make no mistake about it, like, I always thought Robert Griffin was corny. But I also don't think that corny is necessarily a bad thing. Like, I don't think that everybody who has a level of corny to them is a bad person. They just, they just come off as like I think Russell Wilson is corny. Doesn't mean that I don't think that he is a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback because he's corny. I just think that he's got a little corniness to him, right? I think that I'm corny at times. I find times where I look at something I said or the way I said it and go, man, that was really corny. So who cares, right? Like, that's not the point. So when I'm following this Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark situation, I'm following it from hoop, right? And I really wish there was more basketball being talked about when we talk about Angel Reese and we talk about Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark is a baller, certifiable. And Angel Reese is a baller, certifiable. They're different players who play the game different ways. And so comparing them as hoopers, it's foolhardy. Caitlin Clark's always going to look like she's better at basketball than Angel Reese is because they don't do the same things. They don't do the same things. Angel Reese is a forward, and she is a traditional forward. She's not a new age forward. She's a traditional forward. I said going into the offseason, Angel Reese needed to work on her face-up game. She needed to be able to put the ball on the ground, blow by people, right? She maybe needed to work on her jump shot to keep people more honest, to make them draw out more to her so she could go by them and attack the basket. She's already got the defense. She's already got the rebounding. Caitlin Clark, for as offensively gifted as she is, the ability to handle, to shoot, to distribute, she gets long rebounds, right? She's a stat stuffer. She is playing the defense. She's not standing in front of anybody. And every time that somebody who is an actual like offensive ball player is in front of her, she gets cooked. Every time there is somebody who's an offensive ball player in front of her, she gets cooked. So like, I don't understand how people don't see that and go, okay, she's working on her game, right? She needs to work on her game. She needs to get better defensively. Does she ever have to be like Angel Reese level defensively? No, she doesn't have to be Angel Reese level defensively. You know why? Because she's an offensive juggernaut, right? Because she's so good offensively, she doesn't have to be as good defensively. But also, in that same vein, in that same respect, Angel Reese doesn't have to be as good offensively because she's that good defensively and rebounding. The problem that the Sky have is that the Sky have not surrounded her with other legitimate offensive weapons. They had a legitimate offensive weapons, and now she's down in Mexico like signing breast and playing in Mexico for some reason. I don't know what the issue is with that young lady and why it is WNBA teams don't want to have her around, but that's the case. So you have this rivalry on the court where two women are being compared that don't do the same things, that don't play the same type of game, right? And one is being propped up as a goddess, and the other person is being demonized. And so then Robert Griffin decides he wants to come in, and it's not that Robert Griffin was critical, because everyone should be have an opportunity to be critical of the game, right? Robert Griffin made it personal. Robert Griffin said that Angel Reese hated, and strong, like hate. He said it a couple times. You could see it in her face. She hates this woman. And I don't think Angel Reese hates her. In fact, I don't think there's anything about Caitlin Clark that Angel Reese would want other than maybe her game, right? Like, she would, in an honest moment, she would probably say, yeah, I would love to be able to handle the ball and shoot like Caitlin Clark. But, right, like Angel Reese might resent the amount of attention that Caitlin Clark gets, but I don't think we can say that she hates her, because hate means that you want something bad to happen to people, right? If I'm hating on you about like your status, it's usually because I don't want you to have that status. I don't think that Angel Reese cares that Caitlin Clark has the status. Angel Reese is saying, hey, I should have a level of that status too. You want to know why? And here's a great reason why. Because for as good as Caitlin Clark has been, Caitlin Clark has not won a thing. Paige Beckers, who was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark, right before the injuries. If she had not won the championship this past year, she would be in a very in a very Caitlin Clark-like area where people would go, yeah, but she hasn't won anything. Kelsey Plum, who is one of my favorite WNBA basketball players, for as good as she was in college, what did she win? She got to the WNBA and she was the woman, right? It took her a little bit to find her footing, but then she got on the team, they had weapons, and she won, right? Breanna Stewart, she won in college. She won in the pros. Caitlin Clark hasn't won anything yet. It's early in her career as a WNBA player. She probably will. And when she does, it's going to cement her. Will it cement her as the best? I don't know. It's going to cement her as one of, if she continues on the trajectory she's going on. But to make it seem as if Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, that's personal. So then when everybody, known to man, seemed to be against what Robert Griffin, here's what you have to know if you're a black man and you're talking about issues of race. You have to know if what you said only brings out defense from people who are known racist, people who don't like black people. If you find that the people who agree with you are the people who would call you the N-word to your face and or behind back, you're on the wrong side of the argument. You missed something. So demonizing Angel Reese, right? Here comes Ryan Clark, who very similar to RG3, has a level of corny to him, right? It doesn't make their points any less good, any less understandable, but has a level of corniness to him. Misses the mark sometimes, the same way that RG3 did. So when I saw this that RG3 did, I said, hey, you missed the mark. It didn't do what you thought it was going to do. Then he doubled down in it. And as he was kicking Angel Reese's back in, his wife, who happens to be a white woman, is in the background eating popcorn. Now, in full disclosure, that's how the videos that he does, that's how it is all the time. When he's supposedly up there cooking, she has the popcorn almost like the Michael Jackson meme, right? So this isn't something that they did just for this one. Something that they always do. Ryan Clark comes in and says, hey, man, it's a shame because this is kind of how you do. And it seems as if you're looking for this validation that comes from white America, right? It seems like you're looking for this validation that comes from white America. You're looking at your white wife almost like a trophy when she's so much more than that. Ryan Clark, while dissing RG3, bigged up his wife. Actually said, hey, I've met her. She's more than what you are labeling her as. She's more than just a tall glass of milk. I didn't make that up. RG3 said that, right? He said that. And he apparently said a lot of that about his wife, his ex-wife, and all of the other white women that he's dated. He went to Baylor. What I know about Baylor, not a lot of black people. Outside of the sports teams, not a lot of black people. I went to a PWI. I've dated white women, right? I've had relationships. And you want to know what never really comes up when I am introducing or talking about my interests? The color of the skin of the woman that I'm interested in. I don't do that. I don't ever diminish the value of the woman into their skin color. When I'm dating black women, I don't say, oh, I'm dating that special dark chocolate. When I'm dating Hispanic women, I don't go, oh my gosh, yeah, I got me a nice piece of caramel over there. No, I just date the woman and I talk about the woman for the value that they bring. It's saddened to me that not only does RG3 not see the value in champion and not demonizing black women like he did to Angel Reese, because even if he's dating a white woman, it shouldn't matter. He has a mother. He may have aunties. He may have sisters. I don't know his life, right? But he has 2 daughters. And when I see him post videos of his daughters comparing them to Caitlin Clark, right? I'm looking at dark-skinned black women. I don't see pale-skinned white women. I see dark-skinned black women or girls. And so it's like, even if you don't understand from the standpoint of your wife, you understand from everything else around you that is woman. Ryan Clark didn't say anything negative about his family. Ryan Clark talked about him and his insecurities and his idiosyncrasies that made people cringe around him. Right? And what did RG3 do in response? He claimed victimhood. He became a Karen. RG3, oh man, you talked about me and you talked about my family. You talked about me and you talked about my family. He went back, he went on and on and on and on. You talked about my family. You talked about my family. Hey, guess what? And Ryan's on this time. If Ryan Clark had really said something negative or offensive about my family, I'm not releasing a video, my guy. I'm on the next plane and I'm on your ass immediately. Simple and plain. If he had really said something negative about the family, your response was to pop a video and say, hey man, you're wrong for talking about my family. Then to try to call out his employer so that you could get him in trouble. These are the very things that we have made fun of Karens for doing. And that's what RG3 did. And it made me realize something. I was wrong for rocking for RG3. I was wrong for rocking for RG3. RG3 is not looking for my support. He's not looking for people who look like me's support. RG3 is looking for the support of people that don't look like him. The same people who kicked this back in as a player, those are the people that he wants support from. The same people that said he wasn't good enough are the people that he wants support from. The opportunity to gain more notoriety isn't from us. And so even when he does stuff right, like talks about how Shadur Sanders got railroaded, right? Even when he's on the right side of a conversation, even then, now it all rings as clout chasing. It all rings as contrarian. Does he really think Shadur Sanders is worthy of a first-round pick, or is he just saying that because he wanted to go against the grain and get some clicks? I don't know. Nothing feels real. Nothing feels legit anymore. And that's unfortunate because I really, really rock with RG3. Cornball and all. Like, again, I don't understand. Like, we all can't be suave, debonair, smooth playboy all the time. Right? Does he do some cringeworthy stuff? Does he do things just for clicks? Yes. But he's in that world now where he feels like he has to. I'm not going to kill him for that. But the way in which he handled this situation, he put that Angel Reese thing out there and then pinned it to his ex profile so that you see him kicking in the back of a black woman over her getting pushed. And people marginalizing it, saying that, oh, it's just a regular foul. Number one, it's not a regular foul. If you look at the angle from behind them, you see that Caitlin Clark puts her entire body into shoving her. It's a flagrant foul. Now, I don't have a problem with her taking a flagrant foul because she just saw Angel Reese push her homegirl, her teammate, so she pushes back. What I have the problem with is when you do that, then you turn around, put your hands up, and walk away like you didn't do anything. No, stand in it. If she's bigger, stronger, faster this year, and now she's had a whole offseason to get her body right and get ready, like, why is she scared of Angel Reese? What do they think Angel Reese is going to do? I'd love to see if Angel Reese would fight her, because I don't think she would. I think she would get in her face and say, hey, don't put your hands on me, all that. It would have been a boom, boom, boom. It would have been over, and it would have been on to the next thing. Right? But if Angel Reese had pushed Caitlin Clark, like Caitlin Clark pushed Angel Reese, people would have been saying that the league is trying to hurt Caitlin Clark. They would have been out here saying that Angel Reese should get suspended, that the WNBA is stupid because they are not protecting their cash cow, blase, blase, blase. That's the double standard that black women have had to endure when it came to their dealings with white women forever. RG3 not understanding and supporting, or here's a really cool one. Here's a really interesting thing that a lot of us have a hard time doing. And I'm putting myself in it. Sometimes you just got to shut up. If you don't have anything nice to say, just be quiet. I don't like certain things, and I never talk about them. You know why? Because I'm not trying to paint my people in a negative light. I'm not. Not if it's not necessary, not if it's not specifically having to do with the game, which saying Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, that's not keeping it on the court. For a guy who played basketball, was an all-state performer in Texas, but to not know that, to not understand that, come on, man. So I gotta be off. I gotta be off that RG3 train. I can't rock with the dude no more. It's just that simple. I've gotten too old to continually forgive all of the negative stuff that people do just because they do a few positive things. And it's unfortunate that I got to talk about it because I can't hold my tongue on it, even though there's been much bigger voices who have talked on it. What Ryan Clark said was spot on. It hurt RG3 to the core, which is why he came back with that cornball video looking like a Karen. Totally turned off anybody that would be on. Right? Totally turned off anybody who would be on from what he said. Doubling down and tripling down in it. I also looked at, as I changed topics, I also looked at this top 10 that On3 put out. The top 10 quarterbacks, or the QB class, possible QB class of 2025, and it was from Joel Klatt. And On3 said the top 10 college football quarterbacks. And I'll run through the list really quick. Number 1 was Cade Klubnik. Number 2 was Arch Manning. 3 was John Mateer. 4 was Sam Levitt. 5, Drew Aller. 6, Garrett Nussmeier. 7, DJ Lagway. 8, Lenoris Sellers. 9, Luke Altmaier. 10, Carson Beck. Out of those, I believe, and don't quote me on it, Sam Levitt is the only one that won't be eligible to go into the NFL draft next year. Now, with that being said, none of these names going into the 2025 season, none of these quarterbacks are better than Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward were when they went into the 2024 season. Not afterwards, but just going into the season. None of these guys are better than they were. Some of these guys were ranked ahead of Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward going into the 2024 season. People thought Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier and Carson Beck, people thought those guys were better prospects than Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward last year. None of them were better. None of these guys were better. People keep trying to make Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Aller into number 1 overall picks. People keep trying to do it. And yet, they keep showing plays and not putting together a body of work where they elevate their teams in any type of way. You think Penn State was Penn State last year because of what Drew Aller did? Like, do we actually think that's the case? Because I could argue that Penn State would have been Penn State and what they did last year, regardless of who was at quarterback. Penn State has never had an elite level quarterback in the James Franklin era. They still don't. Now, does Drew Aller have an opportunity to become better? Can he have a really good 2025? Can he show some things that make me change my mind and say, hey, yeah, he's on the level of Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, those guys from 2023? Absolutely. Or from the 2024 draft class, I guess. Absolutely, he could. Am I holding out hope for it? No. Carson Beck, he's good. Cade Klubnik, he's good. I'm not taking either one of those guys over Shedeur Sanders and over and over Cam Ward. Sorry. I'll compare them to all of those other guys that came out in the draft in 2020 and 2025. That's what all of these guys are. Now, does Arch Manning have the opportunity to elevate to a level that I might say he has something at the level of and or better than those two guys? Absolutely. Does Lenoris Sellers have something? Absolutely. Does DJ Lagway have something? Absolutely. Like Sam Levitt, can he in a couple of years? Possibly. But right now, absolutely not. Like this idea that the class of 2026 is so much better than the class of 2025 is laughable, because what you're really saying is that there's just more. There's just more quarterbacks that people are going to know. There's more quarterbacks that people are going to resonate with people. There are more quarterbacks that that people are going to have an understanding of, right? But we don't know. Like, does Miami think that they can just do to everybody what happened with Cam Ward? Because that wasn't because of them. What happened with Miami and Cam Ward was because of Cam Ward. It wasn't because of Miami. Because if it was because of Miami, then they would have done it to somebody before Cam Ward. Every one of those quarterbacks that they brought in were previous 4- and 5-star quarterbacks. None of them was Cam Ward. So yeah, it's different. It's different. We don't have to try to stick a square peg in a round hole. The reason why comes back to race. The top of the class in the 2025 class were black men. The top of the class in 2026 are white men. Simple and plain. Nobody wants to say it because then, oh, well, he's trying to race. I'm not trying to race bait anything. I'm not trying to get you to like grab on something and hold so I can pull you along. Not at all. It really comes down. It really comes down to basic understanding of how things are perceived. We'll say that, how things are perceived, right? The same people that told us Shedeur Sanders was too short and too small, those same people watched as Shedeur Sanders measured in as the same height and same weight as Cam Ward. Then those same people watched as NFL teams took a 5'9" quarterback or 5'10", maybe, right? We watched that same NFL had a team take a 5'10" quarterback over Shedeur Sanders, who's the same height and weight as Cam Ward. We watched them take a 5'10" quarterback, and nobody said, wait a minute, but they just told us that the height mattered and blah, 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 blah. Right? That's what they told us. Like Carson Beck wants to be a star. That's it. He wants to be a star. That goes without saying. He wants to be a star. He wants to be loved, right? He was getting hate in Georgia. So what do? I'm going to go to Miami. Why? Because that's kind of where stars are. Cade Klubnik, people have been waiting for Klubnik to be good since he arrived. I was there at the ACC championship when Klubnik took over as the starting quarterback. And Clemson won the ACC championship over North Carolina with Drake May. And I remember saying, oh, this kid could be good. And the next year he went out there and didn't show any growth. And the year after he went out there and didn't show any growth. And I went, oh, this kid is who he is. And yet every time I turn around, someone's saying Cade Klubnik is the next. And I'm going, when you're him, it doesn't take long to figure it out at quarterback. Cam Ward walked into Incarnate Word and became him immediately. He came from a triple option offense, or where he didn't pass the ball a lot. And then he went to a team where they passed the ball all the time, and he was immediately great. He transferred after 2 great years, went to another school and was great. He transferred after 2 years, went to another school and was great. Shedeur Sanders went to Jackson State, walked on the field and was great. He went to Colorado, walked on the field, and he was great. No, Shedeur Sanders doesn't have the arm strength that Cam Ward has. Show me where it hurt him in the game. Show me where it hurt him in the game. I can show you where him not having the same protection as Cam Ward hurt him in the game. I can show you where him not having the same rushing attack as Cam Ward hurt him in the game. But what I can't show you is where him not having the same level of arm strength as Cam Ward or Tyler Shuck or any of these other quarterbacks that the NFL teams apparently thought were better than Shedeur Sanders because they took them before him. I can't show you where any one of them was able to do more because of their arm strength. and not just because they had better like support, meaning a better offensive line in front of them, that they weren't running for their life every single play. So now I'm looking at these 10 quarterbacks and I'm going, hey, that should be a good season. A good season of guys who are out here playing good football. But do I think that they're at the level of the 2025 class? You're bugging. This is what we do when the prospects don't look like me. When the prospects have that complexion for protection, this is what happens. It's a love-hate relationship. It's a love-hate relationship. Finally, I wanna applaud the UFL, and let me say this: I think that the UFL and the EF and the ELF have to find a way to play a game against each other. I know my guy, football game playing zone, Emery Hunt will back me up on this. A UFL ELF championship game would go crazy. It would go absolutely bonkers, right? Because that level of game, bringing and uniting football globally at the tier 2 level, can do so much to help both leagues grow, right? It could do so much to help both leagues shine. You can't deny it. And I want to shout out the UFL because I watched DeAndre Baker, former New York Giants cornerback, pick off an interception to seal the deal for the DC Defenders and take them to the playoffs. And I can't help but thinking, man, I really miss the ideal. I really miss the ideal of innocent until proven guilty. Right? Like innocent until proven guilty. I really miss that thought process. I really wish that we actually I really wish that we actually like held strong to the notion of innocent until proven guilty. Because innocent until proven guilty doesn't take away from the victim. It doesn't take away from the victim. Innocent until proven guilty helps the person who's been accused, right, have their legitimate day without any issues. Without any issues. Without losing the things that they have. We protect the names of the victims or the accusers, but we don't protect the names of the accused. We protect the livelihoods of the accuser, but we don't protect the livelihoods of the accused. So DeAndre Baker, who was accused of doing something shortly into his rookie year, it cost him mightily. It cost him his job. It cost him his job. If y'all don't understand how it cost him his job, here's what I'll tell you. As a number 1 overall pick, as a first round pick, the team is going to likely exhaust all resources to see if you can be good, because they don't want to be wrong when picking you with the first round pick. They traded into the first round for DeAndre Baker, a guy who was a stud in college. He didn't have a bad start to his season. He wasn't playing awful. He was just a rookie. And so when he gets cut, released because of all of these allegations, And then shortly after, we find out these allegations aren't true. Now his name is tarnished. But oh, okay, cool. He gets another opportunity, but now it's disjointed. It's an opportunity with a team. Do they really want me? Do they really care? He's trying to find his footing. He's trying to find his footing. Then he has a catastrophic injury, right? Breaks his femur. I think I have that right. Catastrophic injury. Now he's done. He comes back. He probably came back without getting the proper treatment and everything that you would if you were in an NFL facility. He's working on it on his own. He's trying to come back. He's not right, but he's trying to make a team. He looks like he's washed. And then a couple years later, he ends up in the UFL on the DC Defenders. And last year, he becomes an all UFL performer. And this year, you see him making plays still. And I'm looking at DeAndre Baker going, that dude should still be in the league. You know who else might think that now? An NFL team. But they would have never been able to see that if he did not have an opportunity. So all of you people out there who claim to love football but don't want to cover the UFL because, man, I'm so tired from the NFL season. But you love football. And some of these teams have players on it that could very well end up in your football team. They could very well end up on your football team in your area. Many of them have backgrounds that come from your football team. So in the summertime, when you're looking for storylines to talk about, things to discuss that don't just have to be opinions and theories, you can talk about former players in the UFL or players from the UFL that might look good in your uniform. Why? Because it's not that far off. It's not that far off from what you're really seeing in the NFL. They'll tell you it is. They'll tell you it is. But it's not. You telling me I can't plug a guard in from the UFL and drop them into the NFL and they won't survive? Come on, man. The NFL's rosters are full of day 3 offensive linemen starting. Day 3 in the draft, offensive linemen starting. A lot of the skill position guys who end up in the UFL ended up in the UFL because of character issues, not because of talent. They ended up in the UFL because they went to the wrong team that didn't have a need at the position, so they just got kind of squeezed out. They came to the UFL because they hadn't developed enough yet, but now in the UFL, they've had the opportunity to develop, and so they're better. This is why you have second division teams. This is why soccer is the most popular game in the world. Why? Because it's not just about the top. It's about all of the levels. The first division, the second division, the third division, the fourth division, the youth developmental programs. This is why soccer is king. Because they make it a ground up situation. And that's something that they don't do in the NFL, and it is to the detriment of the game. It is to the detriment of the game to believe that the only talent exists in the NFL. When we just saw a draft where guys went undrafted who are 1,000% going to make the roster on the team that they went undrafted and then ended up with. Everybody and their mother told me Shedeur Sanders was not an NFL football player. And then the NFL grabbed him as an undrafted free agent and signed him to a 3-year contract.
Teachers, pardon the interruption,
So I'm thankful for the UFL being around. And I think that if more people were to buy into it, we should have a legitimate second level for the NFL. Every NFL team should have a second team that they play in the UFL. The UFL should be that. And the UFL should embrace that because you're never going to be a rival for the NFL. They got a 100-year head start. You don't make up that. It's what we talk about all day when it comes to our interracial discussions, right? You're not going to make up these years upon years of head start. But if you work together, right? If the NFL fed the UFL, then it would see the fruits much faster, if you want to be honest, much faster than the NBA feeding the WNBA has helped see the fruits. The NBA has been feeding the WNBA for years. If the NFL fed the UFL, imagine, if you will, those undrafted free agents and those rookies that aren't ready. Jackson Dart with the New York Giants. Instead of sitting and not playing at all, imagine him starting for the New York team, right? The New York team in the UFL. And now he gets an opportunity to like get real legitimate game reps running the offensive system that he's going to run with the Giants. Just makes sense. Hey, salute to DeAndre Baker for keeping your dream alive. I hope that you get the opportunity to rekindle your NFL dream that was taken away from you for no reason. Shout out to the UFL and what they're doing. And we got to get a UFL ELF championship. Like, it can't be UFL and CFL. And shout out to Zach McKinnell, who said CFL, UFL. But the problem is that CFL is a different game. And so you would have to have one of the two go and play the other team's game. That's going to be a lot more difficult to get done. But shout out to them and what they've got going on, man. And again, it's just time for us to start talking a little spicy again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemons. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Go to subscribe, Coach Gene Clemons. Go subscribe, New York Giants on SI. Go subscribe, Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. All of those places. Until next time, peace.